Hello and welcome to Machine Embroider Your Life from American Quilter Society and Eversewn. We're exploring machine embroidery by making 9 projects, all on the Eversewn Sparrow X. This week we're going to be making cork coasters. Let's get started. We're going to need some supplies. We're using our 120 by 180 millimeter machine embroidery hoop, a size 90 machine embroidery needle, some tearaway medium weight stabilizer, craft spray based, a pencil, some scissors, machine embroidery thread in a contrasting color, and of course, stitchable cork fabric. We're going to want 5.5-inch squares of those. And then we're ready to get started. Our first step is to hoop the stabilizer. So I've got my hoop. I'm going to take out this inner hoop, and I'm bringing my stabilizer in, and I'm laying it over the outer hoop, and then lining up the little arrows. I'm going to press the inner hoop in, and then I push it so it's just inside it, starting to extend out. And then I close the clamp, and then I pull from either side evenly to make the stabilizer drum tight. Once I've got the stabilizer in the hoop, I'm going to bring in the little guide, lay it over, and this is going to give me some registration marks. That's going to help orient the cork square whenever we put it in a moment. So I'm just marking out the center, and I'm going to lift that guy back out, and I'm going to be measuring out a 5.5-inch square around the center point. So to do that, it's 2 3/4 inches from the center. So I'm laying my ruler right over that center line at 2 3/4 and drawing across. And the same thing again. And now I have a placement square for my cork fabric to go in. We're going to set the hoop aside for a moment and prepare our cork fabric. I've got spray based, my 5.5-inch square, and just a piece of extra scrap paper. I like to spray over scrap paper so I don't get sticky on anything important. And I'm going to shake up my spray, and I'm just going to put a little bit of adhesive all around it. I don't need tons, just enough to adhere it to the stabilizer. So there we go. And then I can bring my hoop back in, lift up my square, and center it over those little placement guides we made ourselves. And once I like where it's placed, I can just press it in. I'm going to let the adhesive dry, and then we're going to put the hoop in the machine. So we've got our embroidery hoop installed, and we're ready to open up our design program and get our pattern going. So I'm clicking the Patterns tab, and the pattern we're looking for today is over in Motifs, and then it's this one. So we're just going to keep clicking through. This shows us what it is. It shows us how many stitches it takes, what size, and the different layers to it. So we're going to take it over to the Editing tab. And over in this Editing tab, I could change its size and position, but I really like its size. It has it centered, which is perfect. But I can change the color of the thread to match what we'll be doing today. So I'm going to come in and pick out a black, and then a red up here for this guy. All right. And with that done, I can just hit back. It takes me back to the Editing tab, and I can send it to the machine. It's going to load, and once it loads, my machine will be ready to stitch, and we'll get to that stitch out. I've got the embroidery all stitched out and I'm ready to turn it all into a coaster. So I'm going to turn out my stitch design over to the back, and I'm going to mark out the center points so that whenever I go to cut out a circle, my design is perfectly in the center of that. So I'm just marking kind of from the edge. And you can see I've already removed most of my stabilizer. I'm just not too worried about the stuff there in the middle. And then on the other side, just using my pencil on the back of the fabric. It's really simple. And then I've got a 5-inch circle. This is in the written directions, which you can find down in the description. And I've cut it out, and I like to fold circles in half and then in half again. So I've got these little quarter circles because I can then lay the circle over it, line it up to those center points we marked out a moment ago, and just with my pencil, start drawing that circle with my design perfectly centered. Once you get the circle all marked, we can cut it out. I'm using a pair of serrated fabric scissors. If you're worried about dulling your scissors, either use an older pair of fabric scissors or some paper scissors. Then we're going to use a little craft spray base to sandwich the 2 layers together. You don't have to worry about getting the 2 circles perfectly aligned because we'll be trimming those edges later. So a little bit of gap like that's okay. I've got my Sparrow X all set up for sewing. I used a couple little pieces of extra cork fabric, and with that I tested my tension and my stitch length. So now that I know that my machine's ready, I'm going to start stitching. I put on a 1/4-inch foot with a blade to help guide me along the edge of this circle, but if you don't have one, just pick a spot on your foot and watch it as you start to sew. I've got the edge right up to that blade. I've put my foot down. I'm going to hold those threads a little as I start to sew. And I'm just going to sew all around this circle, just like this, keeping it right up against that blade. And I'm not too worried about speeding through this. I just want to take my time and get it right in the right spot. As I get back to where I started, I'm going to overlap by a few stitches. All right, now I'm going to pull that top stitching thread to the back. To do this, I'm going to turn to the back of the coaster, and I'm going to gently tug at one of my threads, and there I see the top thread starts to come up as a little loop. And so I'm able to pull on that loop, and it pulls the thread to the back. Once I have all the threads pulled to the back, I can trim. Now that our threads are all trimmed, I'm going to cut the cork about 1/8 of an inch away from that top stitching line. And we've done it! We've made a cork coaster. I have a few more coasters I stitched out earlier. We have the one we did today, one like it with different colors, and then some more that I found on the Eversewn Pro app in the motif section. I think these lightly stitched symmetrical designs are beautiful for coasters. And look how cute they are with a little mug on it. I hope you've had fun making this project, and stick around to hear more about the Eversewn Sparrow X. Thanks for watching. A special thanks to our sponsor, Eversewn. I'm having so much fun making projects with my Eversewn Sparrow X. If you'd like to get to know the machine a little better, you can download the Eversewn Pro app right now. You can find it in the App Store or Google Play Store. And to learn more about the machine, check out the link in the description below for a walkthrough video. Thanks for watching.